whiteboards that we make. Last year it rained, or the sprinklers turned on.
That was the year before.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, but so memorable.
But so memorable that I thought it was that last year. It was so great.
Last year did rain though. You didn't get wet.
Excellent. Junior high school.
Junior high.
Do you like doing awesome things on trampolines? There we go. There we go. Thank you.
It's gonna be epic.
Go to Sky High. It'll be awesome. April 10th, 6 to 8. Junior high. Next slide.
At Sky High.
At Sky High.
Okay.
High school confirmation Sundays from 4:12 to 5:3. Blast.com room right over there, 12 to 1. This is a really great next step if you've been hanging around in our church or just want to get more involved and haven't been confirmed as a member yet. It's awesome. Next slide. Lent. Who gave something up for Lent? Who has already broken that and has not done well? Yeah, me too. I'm the worst at that. I gave up sugar. I had so much sugar this weekend, my bad. So in the Midwest, they have sugar in the salad dressing. Anyways. If you've messed up, really Lent is why we fast during Lent is to call us into prayer and remind us of our need for God. So if you mess up during Lent, it is okay. And in fact, it's great to bring you into prayer, to pray this prayer. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you, and lead me along the path of everlasting life. So, yeah. Next slide. And we're done. All right. So I'm going to invite the band up. Oh, Kurt's going to take the microphone.
I'm going to pray.
Kurt's going to pray.
Pray for us.
All right, everybody. Let's bow our heads.
Jesus, thank you so much for this time that we have to welcome some of our new friends and to just worship you in this place freely, God. We just want to lift your name up in a way that is both pure and holy, God. Just let you know that we love you, God. And it's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, everyone stand up.
So, welcome everyone. We are about to worship through some music, and we are going to sing Deep Cries Out, and it's got some great hand motions. So, during the pre-chorus, we got a little stirring up deep, deep wells. Just got to get your stirs going. Stirring up deep, deep wells.
Stir it up.
Yeah? Oh, beautiful. All right. And then we're going to dance in the river, so you just got to dance. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, like Stephanie.
You're going to stir again, we're going to jump, we're going to stir a lot, and we're going to jump a lot. So, you will know what to do, I promise. We'll tell you. All right, let's go.
And there's clapping too.
Clap, clap.
To the beat. Where am I?
Was it black?
Right, everyone.
Already.
we're dancing on this part. So the part that's going to say, he goes to the left, obviously we go to the left as well. So when the words say, he goes to the left, we go left, you go right, alright? And then there's going to be 3 other different parts: jump, dance, shout. On jump, what do you do? On dance, what do you do? On shout, what do you do? A little bit louder than that. Alright, so go to the left, then we go to the left. Go to the left, then we go to the right. We're gonna go to the left, then we go to the right. Go to the left, then we go to the right. We're gonna dance, 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 dance. Go to the left, then we go to the right. Go to the right, then we go to the right. We're gonna shout, 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 shout. Keep right up, keep right up, keep right up, keep right up, keep right up. One more time. Keep right up, 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 Jesus. All right, so this next song is called Happy Day. Who has heard this song before? Yeah. All right, 6th graders, this is how it's done. Yeah, the O. So on the chorus, there's a part that says, "Oh, happy day, happy day." So on the O, you make an O with your hands. So, oh, happy day, you wash my hair. You gotta wash it down. Wash it. And then it says, happy day again. And then it'll say, "I'll never be the same." And then we go, whoa! Sorry, Johnson. Whoa! And you go back the other way. What else is there? Oh yeah, oh gosh, there's a lot of O's. Anytime there's an O, just make an O. Do it with the hands, with the arms. All right, are we ready?
come here to take all that is wrong with our lives and what's not right in your eyes and what's not right in anyone's eyes. And we come to lift it up to you, God. And this is a safe place for us. When from all that is taken away in our regular lives, this is the one place where something is finally given back, God. And I pray that you work in all of us tonight and for the rest of our lives, that you'll stay with us no matter where we go, no matter where we end up, God.
The morning breaks.
fitness and not break your bottle.
Once again. All right. So, as I have mentioned previously, I did not grow up in a church where they celebrated things like Lent. And so I'm a relative newcomer to the whole concept of Lent, but I really, really like it. And I don't know where you guys are totally at with the idea of Lent and fasting and preparing for Easter, but I highly recommend it. And you have like 10 days left. I think that's a meaningful amount of time to...
Yeah, because this Sunday is Palm Sunday.
I know. Exactly. So, as is evidently a surprise to some people in this room, you have about 10 days until Easter, and that I think is a really meaningful chunk of time to fast something or recommit to your fast or add one of these practices that we have been talking about. And I really like the way that Lent works in my spiritual life, that it's a concentrated time for me to do some experiments, right? I can try new things and find out if I can meet God through those things. So I really encourage you, and here's what we've talked about so far. We've talked about how the fasts work, and Luke has explained it this time, that whatever you're fasting, if it's Cool Ranch Doritos, and every time you want some Cool Ranch Doritos, if you pray that prayer, then you have like 10 days of praying that multiple times a day, and you begin to feel God tugging on your heart in new and different ways. Just this morning, I've been fasting, looking at my phone before I get out of bed, which used to be an awesome morning ritual. My dog, first thing, he gets out of the kennel, gets under the covers while I look at my phone, and we have an epic cuddle, right? So now during the epic cuddle, I just pray this prayer, and it's a really amazing way to start my day. So I highly recommend this fast, But you can also add stuff. It's not just about taking things away, it's about adding new spiritual practices. So we've talked about having an open and honest conversation with someone about your faith, whatever it is you think about the world. It's a spiritual discipline to share that openly with somebody and to listen to what they have to say about the world and about the universe. So I encourage you to add that. And then last week we talked about encouragement. And so, man, I really want to say in the strongest way that I possibly can that you guys should try these things. It's so fun. Encouragement is such a powerful way that you can bless someone in your life and in your world. Awesome. But tonight I want to talk about something that has always been super hard for me, and that is accountability. How do you gracefully hold someone accountable to their own commitments that they have made, right? And so I'm excited to talk about that. And here's sort of what we're talking about. Here's a really good example of how it works. Actually, before we get into the good example, let's pray. Jesus, thank you so much that you have a plan for us. That when things are going great, or when things are going awful, that our true hope rests with you, Jesus. God, so I just pray for everyone in this room, regardless of where our faith commitments rest, whether we have declared ourselves followers of you or not, Jesus. Bless us tonight with your presence. Work in our lives. Amen. Awesome. So accountability, one of the reasons that I really like working here is that we don't talk much about things like accountability, because it can be a really painful experience, but it can also be a really powerful and transformative one. And here's a really good example. In the spring of 2013, my two bosses, Steve Harrington at the time and Karin Haymanowski, called me in to Steve's office, and in the most diplomatic terms I can think of, absolutely tore me a new one over some mistakes that I have made. Absolutely shredded me. I was devastated. And among them was the serious work and professional faux pas of not answering all of my emails. And in the workplace, in a professional workplace, in a career type of job, not answering someone's emails, like spitting into their face, is what they explained to me. And so they were telling me, Matt, you have been spitting in all these people's faces. Everyone's complaining that you do not reply to your emails. People reach out to you. And in hindsight, they were not mean, but they were not that gentle or diplomatic either. They were in no uncertain terms telling me that I was not doing a good job at my job for this specific reason. And it was really enlightening to me to find out how offensive that was to them especially, but also to a long list of other people. Many of your parents. And like I said, I was devastated. But as I left, they said, Matt, we're telling you this because we really believe in you, that you could be a really great pastor here. And we don't want things like this, we don't want mistakes like this to hold you back. That's what they told me. And so I knew that they weren't picking on me, that they weren't being mean, although it's not like they were being nice really either to me. But what they were is, even if it hurt, they were trying to help me achieve my potential. They were really doing a service to me by telling me the truth about myself. It hurt a ton. I was devastated. But I thought about it, and I really improved in this area. And now every week I bring my inbox to 0. I bring it down to 0 emails. And all because of this one difficult conversation. And so as I thought about how do we do this thing of accountability, and I thought about what does it mean, I've often clung to this proverb from the book of Proverbs. Let's see it, right here.
It's coming.
Proverbs 27:6. It's supposed to say wounds. It's a typo. Drat. Wounds from a friend are trustworthy. Isn't that fascinating? Wounds from a friend are trustworthy, while your enemy is the one that kisses you. So that's what I thought about as Steve and Karen, who I knew were my friends, they loved me, and yet they had wounded me in this way. And at the same time, I trusted them, and I did everything that I could to learn from it. And I sort of wish, like, I had a better punchline or element of the story to demonstrate my misery, except that I just went home and laid down on the ground. Have you had that bad day where you're like, this is so bad, I can't even make it to the couch, just right inside the door, lay down, right? And I was so devastated, but I felt like this was something I could trust. And so there's a way in which, as we think about accountability, we're talking about something that can hurt. And yet, I think as you grow, as you complete high school, as you move into college, you will find that there are things in life that hurt that are not bad for you. As infants, I'm about to have an infant, and this is what you learn. Infants got basically 2 instincts. Like, it's good and I like it, and it's bad, or it's bad so I cry. Those are the only thing they have. Pain is bad in the mind of an infant. But as you grow into an adult, you can see that pain needs to be approached with a more sophisticated mindset than the infant is doing. And if you've played a sport, if you have worked on a project, you know that pain over the long term can be meaningful, and you gain from it, and you get better, even though it hurts, to keep working out. Or if Dalton was here, we would talk about how that guy jumps off the high dive and just smacks on the water every day for hours at a time, and it must hurt so bad, right? But he's getting better. He's awesome at it. There's a way that certain kinds of pain can be really transformative for you, and that's what accountability is about. So I want to prepare you to that. If you're committed to adding this as a Lenten feast, a new part of your spiritual diet, it's not all misery, but it might be painful sometimes. So we have to be prepared that it could be painful, but it doesn't have to be, and hopefully we'll look at some ways to keep it from being too awful. And I think that at the heart of this, and this is what I learned from Steve and Karen, that what they really wanted for me was to bless me and serve me. And so the truth is that if you are willing to be brave enough to hold your friend accountable in grace and truth, what you're really doing from them is blessing them and serving them. And this has been something that's really hard for me to learn, because I'm the type of person, maybe you're like this, I want everybody to like me. I don't want anyone to ever be mad at me. And that's what was so painful about the email thing, is that this long list of people who were mad at me that I had to go apologize to. So I've had to apply myself and to learn how to gracefully hold people accountable. And I have to remind myself, like, Matt, you're just trying to bless and serve these people. And like this proverb says, if you're just kissing people, if you're just making them like you, you're not serving them. In fact, you might be their enemy if people are really doing something wrong or making a mistake. I'm their enemy if I'm not helping to correct them. So what you're really doing is blessing people and serving them. But I don't think that this has to be about conflict. I don't think it has to be a painful experience. Here's another verse that I think about when I think about accountability. Galatians 1 and 2. Part of this was the caravan passage from last year. It says this. I'm not sure where to stand. All right, here we go. My friends, if anyone is detected in a transgression, if you catch anybody doing something wrong, you who have the Spirit within you should restore this person in a spirit of gentleness. A spirit of gentleness. And take care that you yourselves are not tempted. Bear one another's burdens. And in this way you fulfill the law of Christ. Here's what this is telling us. That if I see you doing something wrong and I come to you and I say, in all gentleness and all love, like no insults, no hate, I just love you, so I have to tell you this. That I'm helping to carry the burdens that you have in your life. And maybe you've been tempted, or maybe you've struggled with your God time. Or any other mistake that you've had, you know that these things are burdens. Let me carry it with you. Let me carry it with you. That's what accountability is about. Bearing one another's burdens. So you're bearing one another's burdens by serving and blessing your friends when you hold them accountable. Here's what's awesome. Like, I try to steer clear of sports analogies because I know that not everyone in here plays a sport. But it's equally true for marching band, or it's equally true for maybe a group project that you've worked on, or if you're in a band. The most successful teams in bands and marching bands and group projects, I think that you are good enough at this that if you applied yourself, you could do a lot better. And that makes the whole team successful if everyone's able to say that to each other. So that's really what we're talking about. That you can really bless someone in your life by mastering this skill. So let's look at the practical ways to gracefully do this. And I know what you're thinking, you know, I think I have this experience a lot, where I'm recommending one of these things to you, and I can hear all the gears in people's brains turning. And a lot of the gears, when they squeak, it's like, I'm never going to do that, right? Maybe that's what you're thinking now, but I hope as we go through the practical ways of how to do this, you will see that it isn't that difficult, it's not that painful, and you're really blessing someone. And that, yeah, to be honest, this does take a lot of courage. Awesome. So, when you're thinking about coming to someone and gently saying, hey, I saw you doing this, and I think that you're better than this. The most important thing, I would say number one thing, is that you're leading by example. Because this is what, growing up, in my youth group, we talked about accountability so much. And I had a guy who was supposed to call him every week and tell him everything that I did that week that was wrong, right? And it was miserable, and so faithfully I would do it, and he would give me a hard time about everything. And then I realized, like, I was kind of assigned this person, and he does all these exact same things. Why is he giving me such a hard time about it? This is miserable. It was a miserable experience for me. And so I realized, number one thing is you gotta lead by example. So one thing that I'll challenge you guys to do later is, man, I would love it if you guys were holding each other accountable about having God time. A normal rhythm of connecting with God in some way. But you have to be doing that first. You have to be already having regular God time before you can encourage someone else to do it. Otherwise, they're going to be like, you're a jerk, please stop talking. Awesome. Thing number 2. It might be awkward, but that's okay. Here's one thing that I really reflected on last week. We talked about encouraging each other, and one of the big complaints was, I would encourage more people, but it seems like it would be awkward for me to just like, normally I'm making fun of them all the time, but here's 5 minutes where I'm going to be super honest with how much I love you. That seems like it might be awkward. And as I thought about that, I thought, yeah, you know what? It is awkward. It's super awkward to be vulnerable, to have hard talks. But I really want to encourage you guys because as you, as I said, graduate college or graduate high school and move on to college, you will find that you need to learn how to have hard talks. That is a fundamental life skill, and especially if you are following Jesus, you have to learn that skill somehow. How are you going to have difficult talks about vulnerable things? So yes, it might be awkward, but here's what I found. So here's the story of me getting over something awkward. There were these two girls, but my parents had this big group of family friends, and I've known them since they were like, we were all like 5, right? And we'd go on vacation together, and one summer when I was a freshman in college, you know, I realized I'd been friends with these girls for my whole life. And we were driving to Colorado on family vacation, and they were in my car, and it was just the 3 of us, these 2 girls. And I realized I've never said a nice thing to them ever. I've known them for 15 years, and I've never given them a compliment of any kind. And I just had like this moment of, why am I such a jerk? Why is this? And I remember thinking, because it's scary. It's scary to tell these girls that, you know, they're wonderful, beautiful people. I've never done that before. And so what's great about driving from my house to Colorado is that it's like 10 hours. So I had 10 hours in the car with these people where I could psych myself up and get up the courage to finally tell them, you know what, I've known you guys forever, and you're just both really pretty, and someday you're going to make just wonderful wives for some lucky guys. And then it was silent for like 45 minutes. Right? And it was so awkward. But later they told me, like, that was the nicest thing any of our peers have ever said to us. It was so meaningful to them. And I think about this quote a lot from this theologian, Max Lucado. And I love this quote about when you have to do something difficult, when you have to do something you're afraid of. He said this: fear never wrote a symphony or a poem or negotiated a peace treaty or cured a disease. Fear never pulled a family out of poverty or a country out of bigotry. Fear never saved a marriage or a business. Courage did that. Faith did that. People who refuse to consult or cower to their timidities. People who refuse to do those things did that. But fear itself, fear holds us in a prison of unlocked doors. Man, so you know what? It's super awkward to encourage somebody. And it's super awkward to try and gracefully hold them accountable. It was so dramatic. Right at the most, like, go get them part of the sermon. So, just like Vikings pillaging the village with that horn, I want to encourage you guys, have some courage, go give someone a compliment. After I had told those girls that, it was so freeing, and I just felt like, I wish I'd done this sooner. I wish I'd developed this skill sooner. So give people encouragements. And hold them accountable. You'll bless someone when you do. So, don't be a hypocrite. Don't be afraid, even though it might be a little awkward. Have some courage. Third thing. Here's what I think is where the real skill of this comes in. Because, like, when I've done something wrong, like, part of what was so painful with Steve and Karen giving me a hard time about the emails is that I knew that about myself. And I was really ashamed. I was really ashamed. I knew that it hurt people's feelings. I didn't know how much it hurt their feelings, but I assumed, like, it's probably sort of offensive if they email me and I don't reply. And I was so ashamed, right? And so, if somebody's really done something wrong and you have to talk with them about it, man, you got to be really sensitive. That's why I love that the Bible encourages us to use gentleness. You got to be gentle. Because if someone's caught in a real serious wrongdoing, they're going to be so embarrassed about it. And so you got to really focus on this next part, which is just ask a question. You don't have to say, I saw you do this. You can say, hey, how's this issue? This is what I like about the God time. And if you've ever had coffee with me, I'd probably ask you this question. How's the God time been? And then you can have some denial or be honest with me or tell me anything you want. But I'm trying to create a moment where if somebody has done something that they're not proud of, I won't be rubbing it in their face. I'm being super sensitive about something they might be ashamed about. So I'm just trying to ask a question. That's a great way to broach this topic. And this is one of those moments where it's like, even now I have to like, okay, Matt, time to be courageous and bless this person by asking them a probing question that they might not want to answer. Awesome, just ask a question. And then really do a lot of this one, encouragement. Here's why I was able to tolerate what Steve and Karen had said to me, is because they were, more than anything, encouraging me and complimenting me and believing in me. Matt, you're going to be a great pastor. Work on this one thing. And so a lot of times, when I have to talk to a student who I think is not being a good example, maybe like in a group or something, I always say, like, you are such a powerful leader. You have such influence over everything that we do. And so when you do this particular activity, it undermines your leadership and influence. So if you can couch your accountability in a form of encouragement, it's great. And this is what I love about the sports metaphor. It's like really great basketball teams will say, like, you can be the best point guard in college basketball if you stop screwing around, right? It's a great compliment and also an awesome slap in the face. And that's part of the trick here. Skillfully complimenting people and also slapping them in the face a little bit. Awesome. What? Yes, well, no. That's kind of the opposite.
You're really pretty now that you've cut your hair.
Yeah. No, I would say that's something entirely different. That's not trying to help, right? So, exactly. They just wanted to get their way. And I think this is actually really useful. This can go wrong fast when you're about not helping them. Sometimes the reason this goes bad is because people who are into this aren't really into helping people. They're into making people feel ashamed and feeling like they're better than them. This is why in my youth group growing up, everybody loved being an accountability partner. Like, tell me your dirt so I can feel better than you, right? That was great. And that's not what this is about. The agenda has to be, how can you help them? And the truth is that you don't help them by zipping your lips and letting them do whatever you want, whatever they want. You help them by challenging them. Like I said, it works best as a form of encouragement, dissimilar to Drew's grandma. In that particular example. Maybe your grandma's awesome at accountability, I have no idea. All right, what else we got here? Okay, this last one I think is about the follow-through. So when I'm talking to a student, we go to coffee and I'm asking them how their God time is, and lots of times students say, it's great, here's what I've been doing, and I've been this awesome prayer time, and I have this devotional I love. Or I read Colossians, it was blowing my mind. Sometimes I say, I don't know, I'm just in a rut. I'm just in a rut, and I don't know what to do with my daily God time. And so I partner with them by saying, oh, cool, let's read this together, or here are some ideas. So you can really serve people best when you enter into this journey with them. Whatever their problem is, you have to make it in some ways also your problem. You have to be like, we are in this together, and we're going to find a solution for you. I'm going to help you any way I can. So you got to partner with the people in this example. Here's what's great. Lately we've been talking about how, in this series especially, maybe there are people in this room that don't have the same worldview that I do. But you know what? No matter what your worldview is, taking this recommendation of Jesus to gracefully hold people accountable is a way that you can serve anyone, anytime, of any belief. And in high school, I had this one friend, he was on the debate team. His name is Alan Gwen. And he was so smart, so great. And he was not a Christian, and we talked about theology all the time. He was always picking my brain. And one time he caught me, I was sleeping. I was supposed to be the teaching assistant for this class, and I would go and sleep in the closet. It was like a great big closet. And it was the best thing ever. And it was for the freshman debate class. And he was like, Matt, I know you're a Christian, and I know that we've talked about doing your best is like a big important thing from Jesus. And I'm just, as your friend telling you, you're not really living that out right now. And I was like, man, Alan Glenn, you're such a great dude. Thank you. So even if you are like, don't share my worldview, this is powerful. And especially if you don't share my worldview, challenge me to actually believe what I say I believe and actually follow through on what I say I'm going to be. Awesome. So here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to think about. We're thinking about Lent, and we're thinking about how can we fast, and how can we feast, and how can we open our hearts to experiencing God in a new way on Easter. So I want to challenge you guys to, in the next 10 days, take on one of these new disciplines. Next week we'll talk about forgiveness, which is such a powerful and difficult thing in friendships. But think about how can you take on one of these new disciplines of encouraging someone or holding people accountable or forgiving them. And in the next 10 days, make that your goal. That's your goal. See what it's like. Here's what I love about Lent. You could try new things, and maybe you'll find that, man, this was awesome. I'm so glad I discovered this. Or maybe you'll be like, I will never do that again. That was terrible. Lent is this awesome, beautiful time of experimentation. Cool. So that is, I think that's the last line. Oh, yes, great. Part 2. So, maybe you are going to be the recipient of someone coming to you and saying, you know, I love you, and so I have to tell you this truth about yourself. We spent a lot of time on how to hold someone else accountable. Let's spend a few minutes on how to be held accountable. What if someone like Alan Gwen comes to you and says, hey, you know, I know you said this out loud, and so I'm just holding you accountable to saying that you wanted to do your best. Awesome. So if someone comes and tells you a difficult truth about yourself, here's a few pro tips. Don't be mad. It's super easy to get defensive and mad when somebody tells you that you did something wrong. In fact, you're probably going to feel mad. You're going to have to choose not to be mad. And after you've decided, okay, that was very painful, this is definitely a wound, I'm trying to not be mad here, then you have to see if there's any truth to what they said. Are they way out of line, or is this maybe true about myself? And as part of that, I would always pray about it. You know, with Stephen Carr and my email thing. My daily emails became an awesome prayer time. I had to pray about this thing that they talked to me about. And here's the truth. Maybe someone will come to you and attempting to hold you accountable for something, and they will do it horribly wrong. It'll be a terrible experience. That may happen. That may happen. That's okay. Forgive them. Awesome. So that's what you do there. And I challenge you guys to think about this stuff, to do it in the next 10 days. Make that your goal. It should be now easier. Awesome. What time do we have here?
15.
8:15, you say? No? Yes? Okay, great. All right. Let's have a discussion on this stuff. What do we have here?
I think there's like 22.
Awesome. Let's do 4 groups. You guys are old? Man, you guys should play the drums for us.